Today's episode of Northern Lights is presented by North Star Law Group, a trusted partner for small businesses in Minnesota's legal cannabis industry. Whether you've already applied for a license or just getting started, attorney Jen Riza and her team can help you build a compliant business, identify and navigate risks, put together an application, and keep you informed about the ever-changing Minnesota cannabis landscape. Are you ready to add North Star to your team? Visit northstarlaw.com/cannabis and let North Star Law Group guide you through confidently opening your doors. Again, that's northstarlaw.com/cannabis. Keeping track of your grow doesn't have to be a hassle. Meet Plant Track. That's PLNTRK, a tool built by Minnesota growers for growers like you. Track every stage of your plant with intuitive progress bars for each phase. Stay on top of your grow with text reminders for watering, feeding, and photos. And when it's time to log data, it couldn't be easier. Just scan a QR code or tap an NFC tag to instantly access your plant's details and updates. You can even log your interactions for one or all your plants in just seconds. Ask detailed questions with the AI chat powered by your plant's data and get the help that you need when you need it. It's free for up to 8 plants. Go to www.plntrk.com now and start tracking your grow. All right, and we're back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
And this is Tanner.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely, Tanner. Thanks for coming on my show here at Lucky Leaf.
Absolutely, yeah. So Lucky Leaf, it's a fun time. How's your Lucky Leaf been so far?
You know, my social battery's getting a little low.
That's
it's
fair.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller than MJ Biz.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
a little. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A bit bigger than some of the cannabis events we were having maybe 5 years ago. That's for sure.
True.
We weren't at the expo.
No, and they weren't at an expo. They were probably in someone's basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And you had to have it knocked 3 times with the code word.
probably better weed. That's okay.
It
All right.
was better weed.
Here, so we're here. We're going to be playing a little bit of a game today.
Okay.
Now this is a game called Word Salad Strain
and
Name.
Dale?
Truth or we could play that. As well.
Okay, we'll play that after
All right,
this.
we'll do. Yeah, that's the after party. Word
Spin the
Salad
bottle.
Strain Name is what we're going to be doing today. Now this is a game that we've played before. You're going to randomly be given 3 words from 3 categories, and you're going to have to describe if a strain had that name. What do you think it would taste or smell or be like? I'm trying to remember the one that Steve had last time, Lemur OG Breath, I think. Lemur Breath OG. And he had to describe sort of like being woken up in the morning by Zabuma food. Or, yeah, just like having that little lemur on your chest. Him just like... And that smell that you get is like the smell of this weed.
Well, I would need to know the lineage before I could go there.
Well, so you get to make it all up. That's the best part.
Okay.
So we've got.
I was gonna say that sounds like peanut butter breath with OG.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And so all of the words that we have today, generally speaking, come from real strains. Some of them totally made up, though.
Okay.
So we've got 3 different categories that you're going to be.
But you know the good thing about cannabis is if you make up a strain name, it's gonna show up on the shelf. I've done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is.
If you Google GG1 or GG3 and GG7, there's no such thing. Donna and I made it up. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know is on the dispensary shelf.
And I love that. And I also love that there really is no outer limits to what you can put on a dispensary shelf. You know, I remember when medical was first coming online and people were like, are they going to put Alaskan Thunderfuck on the shelf in the dispensary?
You know, I had a call with Alaska Thunderfuck yesterday.
There we go.
I did.
So we've got 3 different categories here. One is color, so you're going to be given a color word. The next one is a toxic thing or something dangerous. And then finally, you're also going to be given a Girl Scout cookie. So,
I don't do sugar.
Oh, you don't have to actually eat it.
Oh, okay.
But you have to describe. If we had a strain that was these 3 words put together, zebra, pineapple, haze, or whatever, what do you think it would taste like? So feel free to grab a word out of each of these envelopes here. We can sort of help coordinate.
You can help me.
Perfect.
Who grows these names? Okay, we like this.
All right, here we go. So we've got the words diesel, periwinkle,
Okay.
and then the Girl Scout cookie tag along. So what I want you to think about is take that like pineapple or the peanut butter patty cookie, that periwinkle color, that like diesel-y smell.
What color's periwinkle?
It's like a light blue, like eggshell blue almost.
That would be kind of cute.
One of the most popular crayon colors for those who don't know. Shout out
Really?
Crayola. Yep, today's episode of Northern Lights is brought to you by Crayola.
So do I get to make up the name?
Yeah, you can sort of put them in any order you want. Like maybe it's like a diesel tag-along periwinkle. Maybe it's like a periwinkle tag-along. Like, you know, like let's sort of come up with what the proper combination of that you think should be.
All right.
All right, so we've got some periwinkle tag-along diesel.
Yep.
All right, so I'm working. I walk into a dispensary. I go up to the counter. The guy's working there. He's like, "What do you want today?" I'm like, "I've never heard of this before."
It is the peridinkle.
The peridinkle.
The peridinkle.
Peridinkle diesel.
Yep.
Tell,
Peridinkle.
what does that taste like? What does that smell like?
Well, you know the dinkles, right?
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's got a lot of like
a lot
flavor
of
notes.
dingles.
Dingles.
Okay.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
And the terps are a little peanut buttery.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, kind of sticky like peanut butter.
All right.
And then afterwards you get that cotton mouth like you would with peanut butter. Just a
Oh, all right.
yeah, which is always good. That means it's good weed when you get.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I don't know if that taste is exactly what I want.
Okay, well, you tell me what you want.
No,
and then
no.
I will make up whatever strain you want, and even though it's not it,
Okay.
we'll just change the strain name on the shelf,
All right.
and then I can sell it to you.
I'd be happy with that.
Okay.
You just take the jar and put a new sticker
Absolutely.
on it? Beautiful.
They do it in Vegas all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, this
Yeah.
citrusy strain really smells super gassy.
And then
That's
if you
great
tell
how
them
that
it
works.
doesn't, it's placebo effect, and they're going to believe you that it actually is what you think.
We were talking about this earlier, where if someone took a THC gummy versus a CBD gummy, how many of your average consumers out there would actually 5, 20, 30 minutes later be able to say, oh yeah, no, that was definitely CBD.
It's kind of like when we would sell oregano to the football players, and they would be like, dude, this was the best ever. Yeah.
Like, glad you enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, I would never have done anything
No,
like
never.
that. No,
Definitely
no,
not.
no.
And I've definitely never bought a bag of oregano and went,
Right.
man, that was
But
great.
it's so
weed."
funny because you imagine like they're like eating pizza later in life, and like, gosh, this reminds me of that weed I had back in high school.
Yeah, they're in like their first cooking class as an adult. And they're like, oh, it's a spice
You remember when
herbs.
that
Like, tell me
weed
what this
used
is.
to be like Italian flavored?
Oh,
They,
and
don't- they need to bring those terps back.
what a disappointing experience walking into a dispensary and smelling things and be like, that's really what I want.
No.
Then you go to like a pizza restaurant and you're like, holy shit, they've got good weed here.
Well, we could give them GMO.
Yeah, there
It's
we
a
go.
little bit like that.
Well, and I suppose
Like
that
dirty socks
that
meets an
terpene
Italian.
flavonoid is somewhere in that cannabis
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Ugh. So what are you looking forward to doing the rest of Lucky Leaf? You said it's now 2:30, coming to like the end
It is
part of our
2:30.
day.
Yeah. I look forward to Lucky Leaf is tonight.
Okay.
I heard there's a really cool show. Or a little cool after party.
Okay.
Yeah. You should go.
Oh.
I could maybe get you tickets.
Okay.
I know the guys.
Ooh, all
I
right.
do know the guys.
You guys, unfortunately, can't go. By the time you're seeing this, we had a great time.
Yeah. We are the time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No. Lucky Leaf's been fun. I mean, this is probably my 10th 100th show in the world, and it's exciting to see Minnesota coming around. I wish there was more consumers here, or like not consumers, customers for business to business.
Yeah.
This is a lot of consumers looking for samples versus like, how do I get a micro? How do I get a mezzo? What's this look like next? So it's it's whiffy,
Totally.
but
Less of the industry support and more
Right.
of the industry shopping.
right.
Totally.
Like we could do that down on First Ave. We could do some industry shopping there. Yeah.
And
But I'm excited too.
at
Is
home.
I got to bring some out-of-staters here. I've got my friends from Oklahoma. I've got my friends from California, from Oregon. So that's been kind of fun. They
I
get to
love it.
see a little bit of Minnesota.
It's like a little family get together. Right?
Yeah.
Having everyone here.
Well, and it's nice too because in Minnesota I've always had to be not who I really am. And then when I get to have industry nights like this or days like this, I actually get to be who I've been in the last 15 plus years.
Totally. Well, and I imagine it's been exciting being able to like actually bring more of Minnesota into that world that existed, and to bring more of that world into Minnesota, especially as legalization comes on board.
Well, if Minnesota's ready.
Oh, that's such a good point.
I don't know when Minnesota's ever going to be ready.
Yeah,
but
it'll
you know,
be,
I said something earlier today with the money guy, and he said, "Well, what do you think? What are you excited about for Minnesota? What are you upset about it taking so long?" And I said, in all honesty, Minnesota's not ready. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is they don't deserve her. She is an amazing plant. Mm-hmm. She can do so many amazing things, and we're not ready for her.
Interesting.
And I think that is why we have been pushing back for so long, because there is so much other things going on, that she is Mother Nature.
Yes.
She is a goddess, and she's like, you know what? Well, I'm going to come out when I'm ready to come out, and you guys can blame politics on this. You can blame the governing centers. But actuality is, I'm not ready for Minnesota.
I think that's fair. I was reading earlier today that New Jersey is looking at recriminalizing cannabis obtained from a non-legal source.
There was Erin.
I know. I also
wanted to give her a shout out, but
shout out Erin Dupree if you're
yes,
still,
wherever
still
you
listening.
are, we want you back. No, she's gone. She needs to be our OCM.
That is a hot take. I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't know many people that agree with you.
You know what? Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how many people don't agree with me.
Yeah, I think.
I think she's. If we look at what Minnesota's done ever since that, she was not the wrong choice.
Yeah. I'm sort of caught a little flat-footed, but I don't necessarily disagree with the sentiment. Right. I think.
I think she would have been a neutral party.
Yeah, perhaps. I think. If I got to choose a head chef of a kitchen, I would want someone who had cooked food before.
I would want Brian Hanna.
Yeah, I think I want the people that are in charge, I think, should
actually
know
have done
what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's very,
I think more so than the people that we had in charge in the past. Right. So.
Well, I don't think anybody that is working on this bill has actually walked the talk. There's a thing called sweat equity.
For sure.
And I don't know anybody that has actually had sweat equity that's actually writing this bill.
Yeah.
That's actually a lobbyist behind it that's getting paid money to explain that.
Yeah, totally.
And that's sad. And that's why where we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know one person that's metric certified.
I am. And until they fix that will continue to support the legacy market.
Camera guy.
Right there. Jordan, right there?
No, I don't know. Stranger.
Other camera guy?
Stranger danger.
Oh, he's one of Steve's friends.
Oh, he's Steve's friend.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Steve's friend's our friend.
Shout out to Steve's friends.
Okay. Hi, Steve's friend. Yeah. But no, let's talk about Minnesota.
Yeah.
Let's talk about peanut butter dangles.
Okay, yeah. What do you think the Minnesota consumer is really going to be looking for in terms of products? New York really surprised me because it's the first state where pre-roll or vape cartridges outsell every other market.
Right. And I look at metrics a lot in every other state. I have always done that, especially being an operator in other states, is what is selling in that state and how that is going to funnel into these states. Where in Michigan, flower, all hands down flower, edibles are number 2. But vape carts, it's all about what have you already normalized. I think with Minnesota, because we've normalized the drinks and the edibles, we are definitely going to see that moving forward.
Yeah, totally.
I think what I hear is everyone's like, I want a gummy or I want a drink because I don't want to smell like that. Minnesota says they're ready, but they're all still closet cannabis users. They don't want to walk out and smell like cannabis all day long. So I really see that moving forward. I think also it's, great, you can get 10 milligrams versus 5 milligrams, but at the end of the day, we need to normalize. It's okay to have 5 milligrams. You don't need 50 at one shot. Use this to be able to microdose throughout the day. But I really see that the edibles being continued.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't think you're at all wrong. And I think the idea of what's been normalized, that's what people are going to gravitate towards. Right. Is spot on.
And we always have our headies. We're going to have people that, want the rosin, they want the flower. But we don't have a lot of canna connoisseurs here, people that go, I'm looking for the terps. And I love to hear that people want to have a cannabis craft grow. But at the end of the day, Minnesota's not craft. Michigan and Oregon are the top 2 craft cannabis states in the United States by far. They're highly educated. Yeah. They understand what they want. They know what they're looking for. Sun grown, organic, soil. Minnesota's just like, I want weed. I don't really care. And that's not general, but it's most people.
Do you think as legalization continues to roll out, Minnesota will advance as a market? Or do you think we're
Look at breweries. Okay, everybody used to drink beer and eventually became into craft brewing, right? We've got all these craft brewers out there, and people learned that there's other flavors besides Bud Light and Guinness. So it's like, how can we make that? So the same thing's going to happen with cannabis. I hope it's my lifetime. I doubt it is. It will be my son's lifetime.
Okay.
And he's going to see this, oh, I'm smoking this because of effect. I'm smoking this because of flavor. Where right now it's just, I'm smoking this because of the THC board. And and as we get older, so we've got some of these young kids coming in here loving weed, and they're learning terpenes, they're learning profiles, they're learning, understanding that the do-si-do is the peanut butter patties is flavored that because it has that scent. So they're going to grow up, and then they're going to be a connoisseur themselves. So it's going to take that age group to grow up, and then we'll start seeing that market.
Very cool.
Where the people that understand terpenes are all under, we grow our own. We're not going to go to a dispensary to get our own. At least I don't think so.
I think that's fair. I heard one time tourists are where what dispensaries are for, and everyone
Absolutely.
else they know a person. They've got their plug.
Right. Well, I mean, liquor, it's the same thing. If you want a good beer, your buddy's going to actually make it. You can go to Target and buy a craft, a beer maker right there.
Yeah. I tried to make apple cider at home one time. I was really proud. I got it all bottled up. I went to go pop it open, and it was way too filled with sugar, way too alcoholic. It exploded. It was all over my kitchen.
That happens.
Yeah.
But I bet you got drunk.
It was a fun time, that's for sure. Not cleaning, but afterwards, yes. Very sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll let you get back to Lucky Leaf, but we appreciate you coming by. Any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
No. I mean, how do you feel the market?
I am pessimistic. I think the Minnesota model as it was written is unique.
Right.
And I think we're seeing that without proper implementation, you can have a really good plan, but if you don't do the plan or the plan doesn't actually fit the reality of the world you're in, it doesn't matter. It's a piece of paper.
Right.
And so I think I'm hoping that our market continues to evolve, especially as licenses roll out. But we'll see.
Are you going to get a license?
No. I'm very grateful that I have a day job, that I'm working for someone who's seeking out a license. But for me, myself, I'm excited to continue to grow at home, continue to have my friends who grow and process at home, and watch our industry evolve.
And it will.
Slowly,
Awesome.
every day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on your show. That's
well, it's really not my show. It's my friend. His name's Tanner.
Oh.
And
shit. Okay.
Yeah, and Stefan. Have you met him?
No.
Steven.
What? Oh, we know that guy.
Ah! Yeah.
We're gonna have to have him on.
Come here.
Oh, all right. Here we'll do a little scoochie.
We got 3 more minutes and you're involved.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Okay. We're gonna play a game.
Here you go. All right, so we've got 3 envelopes. We got a color. We've got a toxic or dangerous thing, and we've got a Girl Scout cookie. So we're gonna.
Are we gonna pick the name for
Are we
him?
making strains?
We are. Yeah, we're playing word salad strain name. Steve knows this game. We talked about that Lemur Breath OG.
OG Lemur Breath.
OG Lemur Breath. Yeah, that's a good one. All right.
You pick one for him.
All right, so we got. So these are all Girl Scout
You realize
cookies?
that you're gonna get in a lot of lawsuits, right?
No, because today's episode is brought to you by the Girl Scouts of America.
Oh.
Powered by, not sponsored by. That would be illegal for us to say.
Yes.
Yeah, but today is brought to you by, because without them, we wouldn't be able to play this game. So
This is the DDT strain. This is Dandelion Death Trefoils.
Oh yeah.
DDT.
Yeah, DDT.
Do you need a job?
It's a chocolatey.
I'm so out of strain names in my world. You're hired.
I'm hired.
There we go. You got a job.
My job got me a job.
This word salad strain name is now going to be your life.
You know what they call me? Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. You heard it here first, folks.
I do like him.
So Dandelion Death Trefoils.
What type of cookie is the trefoil?
So that is the original
That's
Girl
the
Scout
one
cookie.
that's shaped like a Girl Scout.
Yeah, if you've ever had the lemonades,
Yes.
It's that without the lemonade. It's
So
just a shortbread cookie.
So this is an OG strain.
Yeah, OG.
Yeah.
What is
A landrace, you could say, maybe?
a landrace? Tell us what OG means from a strain name.
OG is an actual strain.
Okay, so OG.
Okay, so like for an example, when we got sued by the adhesive company, everyone's like, well, we had to call it original glue. So they're like, well, just say OG. And Dawn and I, Josie and I were like, absolutely not. OG is an actual lineage. So no.
You can't, yeah. Now you could cross something and it could be OG that, but OG stands on its own.
It stands on its own lineage, so to speak. So if you put OG in there, you're just being a fucking poser.
There we go.
Right, yeah,
Facts only.
yeah. No, you don't
So
want to do that.
OG lemur breath, out.
Out, no OG.
Out.
No.
Turns out we made that up.
Yeah, wasn't a real strain name.
I mean, you never know. Somewhere in here, an OG could have been, because every genetic nowadays is what I would consider a mutt.
Yeah. A
A
melt.
big mutt.
A mutt.
A mutt.
Like a dog.
Speaking
Yes.
of mutts, I do hope that the death of this strain name gives it like that morning dog breath smell that's just like almost rancid, but like a little sweetness.
I was thinking death would be more of like the fade at the end.
Oh, okay. All right. I like
a
that.
darker strain.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Can we play another one? Can we do another?
We can absolutely do another one. Yeah. We've got, we can do this up to 6 times.
6 times.
And we could do it more, but then we just got to put them back in the envelope. So. Oh, yeah. Let's
Oh,
hear.
so I can grab from here?
Oh, yeah. You can grab any Girl Scout cookie out of there.
So these are Girl Scout cookies. Okay.
Because today's episode is brought to you by the Girl Scouts of America. All right, we've got 3 words here: a color, a toxic or not great thing, and a Girl Scout cookie, because it is Girl Scout cookie season. I don't know if you guys know that. This
Have
is
you
a
started
I already-
shopping?
topical game. I went there and I said, "Do you guys have any vegan gluten-free cookies?" And they were like,
They
"No,
do have gluten-free.
They have gluten-free. You're right." And so I got those. Not vegan,
Not
but
vegan.
delicious.
Are you on the vegan diet?
Doing dairy-free, so
Yeah,
I can make the
right.
exemption for the Girl Scouts.
Right.
I did buy mine. There was a girl on Facebook that I follow, and her daughter needed 3 more boxes to get her thing, and so I bought 6.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah.
If you couldn't buy Girl Scout cookies, but you could buy this strain, would you buy glitter poison lemonade?
I absolutely would, because I know it would have a nice little like citrusy, maybe like a sweetness to it. I don't love the glitter.
Where does that go for you? If you're seeing a strain that starts with glitter, is it the frosty terps on it?
I would see the glycerine, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would just think that maybe somebody sprinkled like some HHC or
Yeah.
something on there.
Yeah, that nasty, which
yeah.
would get you the poison,
True.
depending on how you produce the HHC.
Right, and you would probably pucker up with lemonade.
Which is kind of my
Yeah.
terp preference. I like the
You like-
citrusy,
yeah.
lemony.
So maybe
yeah.
this would be more of like a moon rock kind of thing. It's like a coated, you get that
Ooh,
glittery.
You know, my old partner in
Lemonade color?
Washington, Fat Panda, started the Moon Rocks.
Very cool.
He did a
Wow.
killer job with that. Yeah.
I don't fuck with Moon Rocks. I once saw him at the Red Rocks parking lot before going into
Okay.
a concert at Red Rocks, and I was legitimately
Red
scared
Rock.
because I was already doing drugs, and then those Moon Rocks scared me a little bit more than I was
But
ready.
legal drugs.
No, it was not at the time. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
though.
No.
statute of limitations. That's the
Right.
long past.
Right.
Because that was at least like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
24 hours doesn't count.
Yeah, no,
Right.
no. It's a different state.
Yeah.
All right, glitter
then-
poison lemonade.
But now my question is,
Yeah.
if you went by color, so why did you guys pick these 3 things for your strain names?
So here's the reason why. I had done a dab last night, and my wife has eaten an edible.
And you got creative.
And I turned to her and I went, I need a game tomorrow fast. What are the categories that we should do? And she came up with these 3 categories. So shout out Sarah.
Always.
And
Wow.
yeah, so that's where this
so
came
it
from.
was Deep Thoughts by Tanner and Sarah.
It was thoughts.
Deep terps.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
high thoughts.
High thoughts.
But where would you get glitter?
Glitter was perceived as a color. So where that comes from is we originally had the Girl Scout cookie category as adjective, and then we had the idea of Girl
I
Scout
think
cookie, and
he's
it's like,
bringing out the teacher right now.
yeah, and then we had to switch
It's
the
never left.
glitter into the color.
Do you know stoners don't go that deep?
Tanner does.
Glitter is a color.
He's not your average stoner.
You can't have glitter without color. So
But
you
what
go.
color is glitter?
what is glitter in?
I don't even know what glitter is.
Oh, glitter is
Well, I know what glitter is, but how is glitter made?
So glitter is actually tiny sheets of metal that's encoded in plastic. and then it's like printed into this microscopic form. This is totally real, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the number one industry in the entire world that buys glitter is the boating industry, because they paint their boats with that glittery adhesive. All of that paint is infused with more glitter than is used in every other industry in the world. I know you might think adult entertainment, number one consumer of glitter in the world. You would be wrong. I know maybe kids crafting. No, wrong.
It's boats.
Boats and hose.
Boats and hose are where all the glitter goes. Wow, incredible.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
We learned about boats and hose.
Any other questions that we have today?
Are you coming to the after party?
You know it.
Hell yeah.
That's the reason I came to Lucky Leaf.
Hell yeah, Modest Brewing, baby, 5 to 11. I got to run. I got to get that party set up.
All right,
You do?
we'll catch you later, my
I
man.
will be there tonight.
Hell yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Always, Kat. We love having you on the show, and thanks for playing along with the Northern Lights.
Yeah,
yes,
we-
we'll come over to my booth when you guys have time.
EST Tech, I'll
Yeah.
stop by tomorrow.
EST, I like that.
No doubt. We'll be right back.
Awesome.
We'll be right back. Attention Northern Lights listeners. Whether you're growing cannabis indoors or outdoors, organically or hydroponically, Eco Garden Supply has the tools to help you succeed. From premium organic nutrients to advanced hydro systems, they've got everything you need to cultivate like a pro at home. Head to ecogardensupply.com now or visit them in person at 800 Transfer Road, Suite 3, St. Paul, Minnesota 55114, and elevate your cannabis. Eco Garden Supply, growing supplies for the serious grower.
Did you know that 70% of businesses fail in the first 10 years? And the number one reason they fail is because they run out of cash. Hi, I'm Dave Woodbeck. I'm the managing partner of Dope CFO. At Dope CFO, we help cannabis business owners beat the odds by providing financial leadership. Yes, we handle bookkeeping, accounting, and taxes, just like any accountant. But as one CEO recently told me, the last thing I need is another accountant. I need a partner who can help me achieve financial success. So take the first step towards financial success. Scan the QR code now to start your free self-assessment.
Wow. First day of Lucky Leaf 2025 Minneapolis Expo. Cannabis industry. We're here today with our partners, Union Bank and Trust. Brandon Padget, Chief Deposit Officer. Good to see you.
Morning. Thanks for having
being
us.
here. Absolutely. Day one. What are your thoughts so far? How are you feeling?
Feel good. Got in yesterday. Well, not in. We're here, but
Yeah.
set up the booth and did a little lap and met a bunch of vendors this morning.
Yeah.
Been a lot of fun.
Cool. So we're at the convention center. Feels like a typical kind of trade show. Are you noticing, there's no consumption, there's no
Yes.
products here, there's no smell of cannabis in the air, right? And so
Correct.
it's really geared more towards the ancillary services, the folks that are looking at licenses that need a banking partner, for example. So I'm optimistic this is going to be a pretty good show.
Yeah, I think so. I won't mention it in the show, but Sean and I did a show, and there was a vendor that was upset that there was no consumption, and they decided we get over here and we need to go where the party is. I'm like, no. We're setting ourselves up as a real industry.
Yeah.
And this is what professionals do. You don't drink, you don't consume THC, you show up to work.
Right.
To make connections, and seemingly everybody here, we do a lot of shows, as you know.
Yeah.
Whether it's cannabis related or it's building trade industry related, and the more we do these cannabis shows, the tighter they feel.
Okay.
It's bringing a real professional, we're an industry to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Those kids want to party, where we saw on the show, good, go party, that's fine.
Right.
I don't see your success lasting in this industry if you're not going to take it seriously, and that's what I've seen. We're just into it, but so far today, it's been awesome.
Yeah, there's a certain level of professionalism in starting up an industry, in organizing. You can't get all this put together if you're getting high every morning.
No.
As fun as that is,
Yes.
I'm not knocking the plant, but you got to know your dose. I mean, today I took a healthy amount of CBD in the morning, and that's really where I encourage people to start with daily consumption, with morning consumption.
Yep.
When I do consume in the morning, Cannabis, THC, I often crash out around noon or 1 o'clock, or like, I don't have the wherewithal.
Yeah.
Or you can re-up and get high again, but then you're just getting high all day. And that's, to your point, that's not how industry events get put together.
Right. And to your point, it's fun. It's a great Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Go to the park, whatever. It's a
Right.
great time. But yeah, if we want to take ourselves seriously, which we all do, there's business and then there's pleasure, right?
Right.
And you separate them out, and the longer we're in this industry now, 10 years, right? The more it becomes tighter, the more people realize that, and truthfully, this industry has a way to carve out space for the middle class. You know, what we do at the bank is cannabis, and we do the labor unions, as you're well aware of. And that's a fight for the middle class, right? We're seeing that shrink and shrink and shrink. And cannabis has the ability in Minnesota to grow that middle class, to bring good jobs, skilled jobs that bring satisfaction, support a family. And so you got to take that seriously.
Yeah.
It's a serious issue.
Well, you know, I'll share this on camera. One of the reasons why we're here right now, one of the reasons why we have the booth space that we have and the way that we're throwing the after party tonight, thanks to Union Bank and Trust for sponsoring, is because there are jobs online now. They're manufacturing jobs. They're production industry jobs. They start at $20 an hour with North Star Canna. And I was not afraid to take that job and work part-time at the beginning of this year to get my hands, to get a pulse, really.
Yeah.
And then once I was able to work for a few weeks, put that out there through Canna Connect. And I've been able to send 10 resumes over to North Star Canna so far. And they've been interviewing and hiring. And it's about, like I spoke with Liddell Roberts on the phone through your connection, and it's about jobs. It's about careers. And right now, the best place to get a job in the Twin Cities is probably through the Prairie Island Indian community and North Star Canna, because they are ramping up production and they are ramping up distribution, and they want to start fueling dispensaries. And then on the OCM side of things, we're still waiting for those licenses to go out, but we're sitting here on the last day of February in 2025, and I can only imagine how much growth we're going to see this year through the Minnesota cannabis industry.
Yeah, we're excited. You talked to a couple banks this morning too, and just made sure, you know, you've heard me say this message, but we need all of them. We need a strong banking structure. Do we want to win? Yeah, absolutely, at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean we're better than anybody else. We need them all, and there's great partners out there to do good, right? Because the better the banking industry in Minnesota does for this industry, the better this industry does.
Right, and competitive, and no frills, and the least amount of cannabis tax, you know. And I'm looking forward to setting up my account next week with Union Bank and Trust. And
we're excited.
And you know, I'm going to take some of the profits from this event and put them into Union Bank and Trust, and just, you know, we have to grow and build together, and that's how I really believe this industry will do well. Yeah,
and it's, you know, we're very Minnesotan, right? Which I love about what we're doing here, because we've been to the other states, and what do we know about Minnesota? We love Minnesota.
Yeah, we do.
Right? We just saw Unreal have a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
Off the backs of us, like us Minnesotans. we love what we do here. So being able to help protect that craft space in Minnesota through local banking, through local insurance providers, local manufacturers, you know, you need MSOs in everything, right?
Well,
but we've done such a good job in Minnesota and every other industry. I mean, look at our beer and wine industry. We can do the same thing here. And now those are national brands.
Yes,
just like Unreal.
Like Surly and the likes of that. So before we wrap up, for folks that are on the fence or wanting to learn more, tell us a little bit about Union Bank and Trust's experience in the cannabis industry.
Absolutely. I'll give the dollar story. I usually say the dime story. So Union Bank and Trust, we were founded in 1976. We were founded by the building trades of Minneapolis-St. Paul. 24 different building trades, still our same ownership group today. We're run by 12 men right now. It's been men and women in the past. It's 12 men right now that are either active or retired business managers that have run the trades, run the electrical union, run the sheet metal union, run the plumbers union, right? So the people that work for them are the people men and women that build and maintain our cities, our states, our buildings. Where you go to work, it's there because of these working men and women. So in 2014, when medical was coming around, you know, everybody, the two MSOs that are here were kicking the doors for banks, and banks weren't saying yes, and two of us said yes. We were one of them.
Cool.
And then as medical came up, our owners saw the effect on members, right? We could kick opioids, we could kick alcohol or curb our alcohol and just be healthier. It changed lives. It helped people work better, helped people work longer, helped people enjoy grandkids. And so we've gone through all the different verticals, through the hemp build and through the low potency and now obviously adult use rec. And our board and us, we believe it's a job creator.
Yes.
It's an industry that makes people's lives better. You know, and that's just like anything else. It's moderation is key, right? If you're abusing anything, that's not good for you.
Right.
But it's just going to drive so much prosperity in this state when done right. And, you know, people are complaining this or that, the OCM this, or we haven't, but eventually we do everything right in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
We get there. We may be slow, but we get there.
Right.
And it's going to be good for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to continue growing with Union Bank and Trust. Appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Northern Lights podcast. We're here at Lucky Leaf Expo. I'm here with Sean Cole from Union Bank and Trust.
Thank you for having me.
It's exciting to be here.
It is.
Yeah. Sean, welcome to the cannabis industry. However, the Union Bank and Trust group has been in the cannabis industry for a long time.
10 years.
10 years, longer than a lot of folks here, actually.
Yeah, and it's fantastic for us to say that story.
It is.
Right, you know, because the journey that we took is different than other banks that you're going to find here.
You know, that's a great point, and that's why we enjoy working with you, because we know that you've been in this industry for a long time and that you've seen a lot from the relationships you have with one of the medical providers here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And you can use that to help educate a lot of the entrepreneurs that are now getting into the space or have been getting into the space for the last few years. How did you end up at Union Bank and Trust? And let's introduce you as the CEO of Union Bank and Trust. Is that correct?
That is correct, President and CEO. It's been 11 months now, so not even quite a year that I've been part of the organization. How I wound up there? You know, I've been in 30 years in banking.
Okay.
And this is a quite unique experience, one that different than I've ever had.
Yeah, if folks want to find you on LinkedIn, that's where we've connected in the past. And like, you have a great deal of experience, so I'd love to know how, not just how you got here, but what have you done and like what prepares you for this role that you have now?
Yeah, so my experience, it's a little different than your traditional community bank CEO.
Okay.
I come from an operations, finance, and accounting background. I was actually CFO for the majority of my time in banking.
Okay.
Between being Chief Financial Officer, Chief Administrative Officer, I've run operations, IT, compliance, HR, strategic planning. I've done everything.
Okay.
Except really the sales side of things.
Sure.
And so it allows me to bring a unique, different lens to see an entirely whole picture.
As CFO, as Chief Administrative Officer, this was inside financial institutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, two banks, community banks, one family owned two banks, and so I worked for both of them at the same time.
And what led you to banking?
So this is going to be a nerdy story, but it's the God's honest truth. I was probably about 8 years old.
Okay.
And I remember opening my bank statement. And it's just a child savings account, right? I mean, it's just the statement comes, and I look, and there's this extra line item.
Okay.
Like $4.
Yeah.
And I asked my mom and dad, what's this $4? And they're like, well, that's the interest. And like, interest? Well, that's the money you make for leaving it there. And I'm like, I can get paid to do nothing? Fantastic. This is an interesting space to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, finance and accounting from that aspect has always just appealed to me.
The productivity of the intention, right, of leaving your money somewhere and watching it grow. That is nice.
That is nice, and so that was the entry into it. But as I matured, got older, went to college, understanding the risk aspect of it, the business side of it, how to be a good business person within banking.
Okay.
You know, that started to appeal to the strategy in me, to the logician in me, to thinking through the many moving pieces on the chessboard that need to be moved around.
Right.
As you execute strategy.
What did you study and where did you go?
Yeah, so I studied finance at the wonderful University of North Dakota.
UND?
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, so it's the Harvard of the Upper Midwest, right?
Solid school, yeah, it is.
It's a good place to be from.
Okay, and did you enjoy the hockey while you were there?
That's what drew me there.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was free tickets for students, so I went.
Right, and a phenomenal arena from what I understand.
It is.
Okay.
It is, yeah. It's quite impressive with leather seats everywhere, and
yeah.
it's a high level product.
Right, and hockey is what stands out at UND with the team. What are they called now?
The Fighting Hawks.
The Fighting Hawks.
Yes.
Right, and so fast forward. Was it a rough road after college to sort of work your way through, or where did you land? How did you get going?
Yeah, so I right after college was fortunate to get a job with Bremer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and in their loan operations area.
Okay.
And so just worked my way up through Bremer through various stops, got into accounting, got into that.
Yeah.
Then had the opportunity to go to then Marquette.
Okay.
And work in their area.
Marquette Bank.
Marquette Bank.
Okay.
It was actually the holding company. So instead of actually at the bank level, it was at the holding company, and so we spend more time on strategy and analysis and acquisitions.
What
and
is a
things like that.
holding company? Because we're starting to see holding companies enter into the cannabis industry. Could you explain how holding companies work to some level?
Yeah, so a holding company is just a legal entity that's going to hold various other assets underneath it.
Okay.
Other business lines underneath it.
Okay.
Yeah, so for banking, what a banking holding company allows you to do is you can have a bank, and then you can do other things that maybe a bank isn't allowed to do regulatory-wise.
Sure.
So you could have an insurance arm, you could have, an investment arm, you could have, other accounting services that maybe you couldn't provide as a bank, but
Right.
the holding company structure allows you the ownership to do that.
Okay. Yeah. So it's high-level divisions that
Yeah.
you may need solid walls in between in order to ensure that you're still doing things. I don't know, FDIC, or doing things from a regulatory perspective.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not allowed to own real estate other than our own bank properties.
Okay.
And so there are holding companies that have divisions to just own real estate.
Yes. Makes
Right.
sense. Right.
So
Sure. So, geographically, you went to school in North Dakota. Have you worked primarily in Minnesota? Have you worked in any other states as
no,
well?
always been in Minnesota.
Always in Minnesota. Cool.
Always in Minnesota.
And where are you from?
Originally from Marshall, Minnesota, so
Okay.
southwestern corner. So born and raised Minnesotan.
Yeah.
I escaped all the way to Grand Forks for college.
I see.
So I'm still close to the border, right?
Yeah.
Before coming here right after college,
Okay.
my then girlfriend, now wife, and I knew that we wanted to.
Yeah.
This is where we always wanted to settle.
Awesome. And how is she doing?
Fantastic. Thank you
That's
for
great.
asking.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Yeah. I'm newly married, so I'm always curious.
Yeah, you got the newborn?
Yeah, new
4
baby.
months old?
Yeah,
Fantastic
thank
for you.
Yeah, it's been fun becoming a dad and growing a family and balancing being an entrepreneur as well as, family responsibilities. And it's an exciting time. I really enjoy upstarts. I enjoy new industry. So I got into cannabis through cold pressed juice. I was a part of a raw cold pressed juice company called JuiceBot, and we were developing kiosks that you could press a button and get raw, fresh, organic juice.
Nice.
What I learned was you end up doing, if you're doing 3 companies at once, we were developing the hardware, developing the software, and stocking the machines. You really, as a startup, you really can't afford to do 3 things at once. You have to do one thing and do it really well.
Yes.
And I try to take that approach to this podcast because the podcast is going well, but if we try to do events and if we try to do classes and we try to do this, so with the Northern Lights podcast and the Minnesota Cannabis College, we've been really focused on the podcast. And we appreciate Union Bank because they've been a great supporter of us, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So I really
We're proud to
appreciate
do
it.
it.
Yeah, thank
We're
you.
proud to do it. I mean, our story of why we're in it, and I know you've heard it.
Sure.
But, I think it's unique for us in that we're here not because we made a business decision. We're here because our board of directors said we need to be in this space.
Yes.
Right? We're 100% union owned by building trades, and I know Brandon explained this earlier,
Sure.
but they early on saw their members benefit from the medical side of things.
Yes.
And the recreational side,
Sure.
right? The aches and pains, the kicking opioid or alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
So our board, unlike another bank, I'm sure there's others here, that their journey was they needed to go convince the board
Yeah.
to get into it, where it was us saying, no, our board saying, you guys get in it and get into it now.
And if I could provide some advice, not necessarily to you, but to the greater banking community, is leave the stigma at the door.
Yeah, and that's what we do well.
Yes.
Right? We're going to treat you like a business.
Right.
We always say, I don't care if you're a hardware store or a coffee shop or a liquor store. You're a business.
Yes.
You have the same normal business challenges any other business has.
And
so
have-
why have the
yes.
Canna tax?
Yes, but also you're going to have those business expectations. You
Yes.
You can't just take anybody off the street and give them a bank account. You're gonna know your customer. You're gonna CYA, and you're gonna make sure that they're an upstanding business. But beyond that, you're not going to overcharge them on the Canna tax, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. No, we're going to do everything the right way.
Yeah.
Whether that's regulatory, whether that's going to be in client services, whatever we do, we're going to do it the right way.
Yeah.
But we're really proud to help be part of standing up this industry.
Yes.
You know I am from the standpoint that there's not much new in the banking world.
Sure.
Right? Name a bank innovation, you probably can't really think of one since the debit card.
Okay. Yeah.
But here we are now with standing up this industry. And to be part of helping grow it is exciting.
It is.
Because this is just different than anything any of us have ever done.
Yes. And then within Minnesota, to understand the PG-13 market, as I like to call it, or the hemp-derived market, and the way the breweries have been able to get involved, and the way these mom and pops have been able to open stores or create brands and start to grow products and get the name out there before the adult use legalization, before the licensing and all that. And it's been a long journey. I think I've been in this industry now coming up on 6 years, and we're now just getting into retail dispensaries. But I've enjoyed the learnings along the way, and I think Minnesota has a really educated customer base when it comes to cannabis, but there's still a lot more room for education.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know we have plans to partner with people to do just that.
Sure.
Right? I mean, we want it to grow and thrive.
Yes.
And like I mentioned, we're a union-owned bank. We are in this space because of that membership benefit, but also with the labor peace agreement that needs to happen within the structure. We are in this space to help grow union jobs.
Yeah.
So it's another benefit of why we are here. That's exciting. It's the job growth. It's providing good paying, high quality jobs. And that's just, it gets me juiced when I, to come here and do these things.
Sweet. Yeah, you're a great fit for the industry as a brand, and it's been great getting to know you, as well as Brandon and Sean, and I got to meet Denise as well, you know, and so look forward to continuing the conversation, and hopefully I'll see you tonight at Modest.
You are going to be there. I'll be there. My wife, my daughter are going to be there, so I'm looking forward to it very much.
Nice.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Ever felt like running a cannabis business means running in circles just to get basic banking? Union Bank and Trust gets it. They've been helping cannabis businesses for over 10 years, solving problems like securing accounts, managing cash flow, and navigating regulations. No more jumping through hoops, no more runarounds. Just straightforward banking solutions built on trust, integrity, and performance. Check out unionbankandtrust.com today. That's unionbankandtrust.com. All right, and we're back live here at Lucky Leaf with Blake. How's it going, man?
Good, how you doing?
Doing really well. Happy to have you here. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you do and who you're with here at the Expo.
Yeah. So my name is Blake Johnston. I'm the president of Prairie CBH Inc. Incorporated. I oversee the operations of cannabis for the Prairie Indian community and its businesses. And so that is where we have a board of 3 members that oversee the operation side of cannabis for the tribe.
Very, very cool. So it's been an exciting past couple of months for you, I imagine, going from the soft launch to the full launch to now having a line of flower that you guys grew, sort of expanding to a full-blown dispensary. What has that been like?
Oh, it's been amazing. I think it's been a lot of community involvement and just hearing from our community what they like to see in this business opportunity, and just going from the phases of developing it to opening up to learning about it more. It's been exciting, and I think our community is excited to see how this comes about in the future here. And we really are looking and still learning. There's still a lot to learn about this business.
Absolutely, for sure. Very, very cool. So tell me a little bit about what led up to you guys opening. So I was there on day 1. I'm really proud that I was like purchase number 7. I still have my receipt. I thought it was cool. But I'm sure a ton of work had to go into actually getting the storefront, getting the product, getting doors open. Walk through a little bit about just like what led up to you guys opening your doors.
Yeah, being a tribal community, we really leaned on our council to figure out the path forward and how this business structure could work. One thing we did is our council really wanted community involvement. Where does the community sit on cannabis? Where does the community want to see us go if we move forward on cannabis, right?
For sure.
And so as a community-based led initiative, where we had a number of community meetings, also understanding that, the legislature was still debating cannabis. And, as we were realizing it was going to be more of a reality, we definitely took to our community to hear from them. And our initial thought was just going into the dispensary route. And as we developed that, and as we opened up, we see the need for products, and so that led us down to the cultivation side of things, and seeing that there isn't enough product being developed amongst the tribes, because tribes are the only ones able to grow it.
For sure.
And so going from that point and progressing it to be vertically integrated was a process, but our community members were up to speed, and the involvement there was just so awesome to see.
That's really cool. I love hearing when community is sort of the core of growth, when it's the core of development, because it's not people telling a community, hey, here's what you guys want to buy. Here's what we think that you guys need. But instead, build more organically from just like, what are people asking for? What were some of those early conversations like with people? Like, were people generally receptive to the idea of, hey, we want to bring tribal, not just cannabis here, but a tribal-run cannabis business? Or was there some hesitation?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be hesitation, right? We're starting a brand new business, and I will say that anything that any business that is run by a tribe, is the whole goal is to provide for its community.
For sure.
And so looking at what it could bring to our community, we really push healthcare and education amongst our tribe, and so a lot of that has to go into that. And so as we're looking at cannabis, I think we looked at it through the lens of how can we benefit our community through this business. And so, there was ups and downs. There was a learning curve amongst a lot of our members, because of what the federal government and the states and everybody portrayed cannabis to be,
For sure.
right? And so having those educations and teaching them and learning and having people learn exactly what benefits it does. From Dakota people here, we understand anything that comes from Inamaka, which is Mother Earth, is there's a need for it, and it's a medicine. And so that's how we approached cannabis and be able to get more of our membership to understand the true value of it.
Very cool. And since you guys have opened, had those conversations, I mean, you've obviously found the community reception from it because you've continued to grow. But what have some of those conversations been like with tribal members who maybe hadn't before experienced cannabis, but now because of a regulated shop, you guys are open, you're able to talk about these products and educate people? What has that been like?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, I think the education, is just something we push. And if we can't educate our people about something that we're operating, we're not running the right way, right? And so we really stress the education piece of it, and it's crazy to see some of our elders that actually have come into the shop. They may not consume cannabis, but they do see the lotions. They do see the other medical needs that are actually beneficial for you to take, and it's been great to have.
That's so cool. Yeah, the first day I went, I was excited to buy the vaporizable products, to buy some flour, but you guys also had some baked goods there that were rich in CBD.
Yes.
And I was like, I'll give it a try. I'm not really an edible guy, but I got to give it a try. And holy crap, it was a really good scone, and I loved that it had cannabis in it in a way that wasn't like, I'm going to go home and just be super stoned.
Oh, yeah.
But in a way that's really introducing it to people in a way that, like, my mom could walk in and say, oh, yeah, I'd try that.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
Well, it's pretty awesome, it brings the narrative of just understanding, like, what cannabis actually is, right? And being able to showcase, like, there's all different needs and wants for it. And you can do it in so many different ways, and it's pretty cool, and it's opened up a lot of our community's eyes. Like, you don't need to just smoke it. There's other benefits and other ways to do it. So it's been pretty awesome seeing that.
That's really cool. So you guys have a ton of variety in the products that you have. You have flour, you have vape carts, you've got the edibles that I talked about earlier. You can get some of the beverages, the hemp-derived stuff, all that. What is, if someone were to go to your shop and say, I'm just looking for like one thing, what would you recommend? What might you send someone towards towards the island peasant?
I think for us, our staff is trained when we have a specific education style that not only speaks solely on cannabis, but the native view of understanding what cannabis is and what it portrays in the Dakota people's eyes, right? And so with that, we can be able to navigate you to certain products that we think would benefit your needs or your wants. And so I think that's just something that we want to stress, is that you may not know what you're coming in for, but our staff can help you go to the path on what is best for you and your needs.
I love that. And I can absolutely vouch for that. Like, going in there, they are so attentive, not just to like hey, I want this, do you mind grabbing it? And they're like, oh, of course. But ask if there's anything else you're looking for, being able to explain the difference between products. It was really cool having it be day one of a dispensary being open, and already your staff are knocking it out of the park.
And I credit our staff. I mean, they've seen a lot of people come through those doors. And being one of the only ones closest to the Twin Cities, we do see a big number of our guests coming through. And for all different variety of reasons, and it's pretty cool to see how our staff handle it, and how upbeat our staff can still be throughout a full day.
Yeah, totally. The first day I went, I came out and the line was like wrapped around the parking lot and going all around, and I heard from people that were near the end of the line that it was top tier service, and it's I think showing that even after helping hundreds, thousands of people get products that they need, still doing it with a smile. Yeah,
and it's we're in a unique situation of being able to be open so early, right? And I think for us is that we continue to learn and educate ourselves on better practices and procedures, and on the staff level piece, but also on the product piece. I think we're early to market. Things are brand new.
Yeah.
So we see the opportunity that our products are only going to get better as time goes on. We really focus in on how we can provide some more products that are more beneficial all around.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm part of your guys' email newsletter. So when I got the notification that there's sun-grown flower grown here in Minnesota by the tribe available for sale, I thought that's a really cool advancement in sort of that next step of the industry. What, not to ask you to like expose any secrets, but what are you guys looking forward to in the future as Minnesota continues to evolve?
Yeah, I think, we strategically have partnered with a number of different groups, and that's related to cultivation or the production side of things. We have partnerships and operations to do all those aspects, to be vertically integrated. And as I mentioned earlier, we weren't necessarily going down the path of being vertically integrated, but understanding where we are and where we're positioned, we had to go down that path. And so as we look to the future, we continue to want to grow out and build out our products, not only just for Prairie Island and other tribes, but we want to be able to support and help out the rest of the state market. And so as we're looking to when the state opens up and that path forward, we're having conversations. We're trying to learn and educate ourselves down that line.
I love it. Well, I thank you guys for being open. I'm hope that our industry continues to evolve, but at least it gives me a better answer when people come to town. They're like, do you know anywhere to buy weed? I'm like, actually, yeah, I do. It's a really beautiful drive and not that far, and go check it out. So.
Yeah, and I think we've had a number of customers when I've been in the shop, and it's they're like, we didn't realize you're that close to the cities. We're like, yeah, we're just 40 minutes south of the Twin Cities. Yep. We're not too far away, and it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've heard of people taking a day trip to Michigan. This you could do in like an afternoon and not commit a felony.
Yeah,
that's sort of cool, So yeah. Well, thanks for coming on today. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Lucky Leaf. And,
it's been great to see all the people walking through and stopping by just to learn more, and it's been we've been enjoying it really well.
I love it. Well, any wrapping thoughts before we go? Do you want to share? Or?
No, I think we're just excited to continue to build out our business and be able to supply the state market. I think we're continuing to partner with other tribes and other businesses, and we want to continue to grow cannabis business here in Minnesota.
I love that. Well, I'm excited to see you guys continue to grow as the industry grows, and just thanks for rocking it. So.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate it. We'll be right back.
And we're back live from Lucky Leaf. We're here with Mark Waller and Betsy Morem from Morem and Wallem CPAs.
Hey.
Good to see you guys.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Welcome back to Lucky Leaf, year 2.
Yes. Feels like we were just here.
How are you enjoying Lucky Leaf so far?
It's been great. We had the crash course yesterday. I got to present with the great Jen Riza and the great Allie yesterday.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Jen Riza, the Riza in Jen Riza, is a last name that her and her previous husband decided upon themselves.
Really?
So they created that because Riza in German, like to have a gute Reise is like to have a good journey.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that until Jen was on the show last week, but Riza is like a crafted name.
That's amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Crafted like the cannabis industry is crafted.
Yes. It takes a ma and a pa.
Exactly.
So get us up to speed, get the audience up to speed. How long have you guys been working together as Morem and Waller?
We're coming up on 5 years, actually, which has flown by.
Season 5.
Wow.
Has started.
Yeah. And it won't be our last season. Many more seasons to come.
No.
Yes.
We're like SNL. Like we're gonna go
50 strong.
50 years. Yeah. Exactly.
I can't wait to see.
See, in 50 years, I'll be 87, so I really hope I'm not still working.
Right, yeah.
We'll retire a little earlier than that,
What are your goals for this year with respect to the Minnesota cannabis industry as well as the clients that you serve across the country?
I mean, really just continuing to stay compliant is first and foremost thing, but beyond that, we really want to be able to help folks get their projections in hand and have true CFO support. And that guidance on the financial side, I think, is the piece that is often missing because you're spending so much time just kind of catching up on everything. So our goal is, okay, we obviously will get you totally caught up, but then how do we help you grow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Betsy's a pro in that, by the way.
Okay, tell us more.
Well, I think what distinguishes us from maybe a typical brick and mortar firm is that we are both looking in the rearview mirror and also helping clients look forward. So we are putting together the accounting data and we're saying, okay, what does this all mean?
Yeah.
And how can we potentially course correct going forward? So
right.
We are really, we act as our client's strategic financial and accounting partner. We're there, we want them to succeed, and so we're helping them make those more strategic decisions versus just, all right, here's your accounting, here's your reports, talk to you next month.
Right, it's more GPS, a little bit more trying to help guide them towards their journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to steal that, thank you.
Ideas are free here, baby. So tell us a little bit, the crash course, were there some interesting questions that came up, or how was the audience?
There were. The audience was really good. It's really hard to pack so much content into 50 minutes. So, you want to be able to continue those conversations. But, my message was all about looking at what are the rules in Minnesota, what are the ones that are about to be adopted, and how do you stick to them. And the nuances of how to actually stick to them are super important.
Right, and I know you've been vocal about the 10 years of tax returns.
Yes.
So for folks that don't know, let's say they get their license this year in 2025, they'll be required to hold on to their tax returns for 10 years until 2035?
Exactly.
Until Betsy's like, no, we're just kidding.
Do the quick math here.
I don't even want to think about that.
No, I'm just kidding. But that's pretty outrageous.
It is, and it's longer than back in my big firm accounting days. We had these tax files. We had big libraries of tax files, and their policy was we keep 7 years, and once it's beyond 7 years, it goes in the shredder. So you have to keep even more than what the big accounting firms normally keep.
I've been wanting to ask you this for a while. What is the reason why? Is it so that they can, it's a little bit of a gotcha potentially? I mean, I don't know. What are they going to look for in 8 years from now, potentially?
I mean, it might just, I'm just totally speculating here, but it might just be one of those things that is a way to make sure you really keep everything. I don't know. It could be one of those things. Ultimately, it may not even matter when, if and when a company gets audited either by the feds or the state or the OCM in this case.
Right.
you have to think, the auditor is not necessarily like your enemy, even though, we always want to, we always hear about a lot of fear about the auditor, but like ultimately, like the auditor wants to help you get through that process. And so depending on who you get, I'm not saying that everybody's going to be this way, but I've always worked with reasonable auditors. So if you don't have that, maybe there's something else that they can look at to help, check the box. But
I mean, not even to dive that deep.
Yeah.
When you do get audited, what are you going to have to provide? What are they going to look for?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the big ticket things. Definitely like your sales, your inventory, how money comes in the door. They're going to look at what are your closing processes. What do you do with cash? They'll look at everything else, but those are the biggest things, I think. Like is
internal control processes.
Exactly.
That first.
Yeah.
Which is, it's important that if you're getting into this business that you really set up those processes well at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so much more difficult to, even a couple months into opening your store, let's say, to try and find time to set those things up when you're working on your business every single day. So
it comes down to routine, consistency, not thinking because everything is already in place. So I'm just going to keep doing it because Morem & Waller has set me up in the right way, and so I'm going to follow these good practices.
Yeah. And it's definitely not the most exciting thing for business owners, but it can get exciting when you've got all of the things in place to be able to produce financials.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe Mark and I are just weird, but
gives me an exciting.
It is exciting because you can actually have those fun conversations of, okay, what happened last month? Mm-hmm. What can we do differently?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe our discount program is a little too generous. Like,
sure.
Those are the type of things that we like to dig deep into.
Right.
Yeah, because then that all it ultimately leads to greater profitability for the business owner,
yeah.
which is fun for them.
Yes, it's. I mean, speaking as somebody who's still trying to kind of figure it out, right? Being able to set goals and then work towards them and seeing that you're getting closer to your goals, and maybe, you have a big hairy goal or something way out there, and the financial documents can help show you that you're on the right path.
Definitely.
Yes, and there's a saying that says, what gets measured gets done.
Yes.
And I've seen that so many times where if you set a goal and you actually track that goal,
right,
you are so much more likely to meet that goal.
I also think on the flip side, you only achieve what you set out to.
Definitely.
And so if you don't set your goals high enough, or if you don't work with a financial planner or an accountant that can help you really see that vision forward, then you may not realize your full potential.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I know that was a bit of a deviation from the how long you have to keep your tax returns for,
sure.
But...
Oh, yeah, I love that we landed here.
It always goes to internal controls for CPAs.
Is that ICP, is internal control procedures? Is there? Give us a rundown on a couple good acronyms in this.
Okay, well, here's a good one.
Yeah.
So, cannabis owners should be familiar with GAAP, which is Generally Accepted Accounting Principles.
Sure.
GAAP.
Yes, and we have to follow GAAP accounting.
Okay.
For all cannabis businesses, no matter their size.
Is that in Minnesota and in other states, or is
everywhere?
It everywhere?
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Everywhere in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that does make the accounting more complex, or just, I don't know, maybe not more complex, but there are specific rules you have to follow.
Is that different than first in, first out, or?
Well, that's part of inventory tracking, which is
Keep
under
going,
that
keep going.
umbrella.
Yeah.
You want more acronyms?
Yes. Hit me.
Oh man.
I mean, even CFO, right? That's an easy one.
CFO is an acronym. Yeah. Chief Financial Officer. You need to have that in place to help you achieve your financial and overall dreams.
And there's a difference between having an accountant and having a CPA. Can you talk about the differences in what a CPA unlocks, or what the risk is on your side a little bit as well?
Absolutely. So accountants can be really anybody who is practicing accounting. Betsy and I and our firm are a CPA firm, which means like everybody here in Minnesota who's trying to get a license with OCM, we have a license with the state of Minnesota as well, with the Minnesota Board of Accountancy. So we definitely know what it takes to be licensed and stay licensed. There's a laundry list of ethical guidelines we have to follow on a yearly basis. We have to get continuing education credits every year. And then we have the ability to kind of be, at some point, providing some assurance to folks if you get to the point where you need to have an audit. We can serve as an independent auditor. We're not doing that right now, just to be clear, but that is something that we, at some point, will do, especially when the need arises here in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah. So every CPA is an accountant, but not every accountant is a CPA.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And
A
CPAs like to
square
make
is
that.
a rectangle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And CPAs will always want to make that distinction because there was a very intense test that we had to pass
CPA exam.
to get the designation. So it's important for us that distinction is made.
Absolutely. And
Now, that's not to say you can't be a great accountant without that designation, but
Yes.
there is a difference.
And outside of accounting, talk a little bit about the squad, the partners that you surround yourself with, and the referral type. Let's talk about Allie and Laura.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what you get when you come to Morem and Wallen.
We, being in year 5 for us, we've traveled the country. We've talked to all what I think are the best other consultants in the country who serve different needs. So our good friends Allie Piscatelli, who owns Budding Operations, she honestly is like the person that helps make our accounting inventory work super well, and she's
incredible.
mind blown because how good she is at that.
And that deals with metric in a lot of cases.
So she knows metric on the back of her hand, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Laura Hand has been our chief marketing officer since day one, basically.
Yeah.
And she is doing amazing work with other cannabis brands. She has a company called Laura Lou Experience
Design. Yeah, she helps people with the customer journey.
Yeah, and actually, so we were on Conversations with Kush podcast together yesterday, and Laura and I were reminiscing that she and I met on Clubhouse in 2020, which I think I met you on Clubhouse as well.
That feels like a lifetime ago.
I know.
There are some folks in this room that, or actually, well, no, it's even greater than this room. Like the time spent on Clubhouse in 2020 and 2021 has served me well.
Seriously.
Yeah. And at the time that was the easiest way to organize. That was the easiest way to get updates out there to people.
Yep.
And I love looking back and figuring out how we all met and
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that it was Clubhouse, but now I can kind of picture a little circle that said Mark W on it.
Yes, exactly.
So they say that 1 year in cannabis is like 7 years.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because I'm 35 and I've been in this industry 5 years plus. I'd say, I think, well, it's funny because cannabis as a terminology for our industry really popped 2023 as we got closer to the bill. 2020, really, it was through the bill and the language around the marijuana industry that Minnesota stood out by referring to it in statute as cannabis.
Yes.
But before that, this was all Minnesota hemp, CBD, and so I'd say what stands out to me more than the years itself is the cannabinoid mix that we've, it started as the CBD industry and then folks learned about CBG and then CB and then Delta 8 really and then CBN, and so I don't know.
We've evolved,
I think it has been a long time. I think my partner Meg would probably say it's been too long of a time, but it's been great. I mean, folks come into this market from out of state, whether it's Cova, Dutchy, Flow Hub, and they're really amazed at the community that we have here in Minnesota, and I hope that we can keep growing that.
Definitely.
It comes from us showing up to a regional event like Lucky Leaf and really educating the new people that are coming in and always finding room for new people to grow the market.
Exactly.
Minnesota's done a great job with the beverages. It's so accessible. Your mom can try it. You can drink it with other moms. Other dads. You can technically have it at a soccer game. I don't know if people are doing
that
it
this summer.
I think they are. I think they are doing that. Yeah.
Right.
It's great.
5 milligram dose or a low dose beverage. I love that. Are you helping any folks transition from hemp to cannabis as it relates to the products, or are you mostly starting with folks in the cannabis industry?
Yeah,
Okay.
mostly starting with folks in the cannabis industry, but we do have hemp-derived product clients,
Sure.
which is exciting as well. And I think
And some of
both-
them are staying there, some of them
Yeah.
are looking, it's
Yeah.
a little bit of a mix.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's the interesting thing is
there's 2 tracks.
yeah.
There are, yeah.
So, with the rise of the cannabis industry, we've seen a new print media publication come online called Blom, or
Yeah.
The North Bloom, with Lynn Wackler and Angelique Zarillo, I believe
Yes.
her last name is.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you've supported Blom and your contributions, and what
Yeah.
what stood out to you as a new print publication comes online.
Yeah, I was reached out to by Lynn probably several months ago about the new publication Blom, and was asked to write a column about money on in that magazine. So we just released our second issue in February on the topic of love, and so we've done 2 publications. I was able to kind of co-author that second article with my wife, Dr. Bridget Musak, who is she's faculty at the University of Minnesota, and
What department is she in?
she's in the Department of Writing Studies. And
Oh,
she's,
wow.
Yeah, she's faculty in there, so she's, whenever I write something, she looks at it and she's like, let me take a look at that, Mark.
She's better than
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
100%. Yeah, a million times better. So yeah, it's been a wonderful community already. I've already seen, issue 2 is taking off even more, and was just talking to Angelique yesterday about starting to go digital. So starting with the print, because that is so accessible, and the thing that I love about that is like folks like my parents-in-law who are, I would say, kind of curious. I can hand them a magazine, and it's like, hey, look, it's your daughter and your son-in-law who are writing in this, and go take a cannabis beverage from our refrigerator downstairs and learn a little bit more. So.
Yeah, it's continuing to help normalize it, whether it's a 12-ounce can or a magazine.
Yeah.
These are things that we need in order for the elder generations or the more standoffish people to realize that this is not the boogeyman. There's nothing.
Exactly.
There are differences between alcohol and cannabis, but you can, especially in Minnesota, you can find a low-dose product that will help you feel better for whatever you're looking for. And it's great to see that you're supporting a new media publication like The North Bloom.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Awesome. So if folks want to get in touch with you, if they're interested in some CPA services, where would you recommend they go?
Start with moremwaller.cpa, our website. We have all kinds of resources there. We're on Instagram, YouTube. We're on Blue Sky now. We just did that this past week. LinkedIn.
By we mean Mark.
I'm too much on my phone, so yeah. If you catch us in Blue Sky, it's really me.
How's Blue Sky's Timberwolves chatter?
It's good. You know,
there's a pulse.
There's definitely a pulse there. Yeah,
Good to
Timberwolves, Vikings. It's Lynx. It's a good place to be.
Thoughts on the ownership agreement?
Oh man, I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Yeah, let's do this. A-Rod. I mean, I never thought I'd cheer for A-Rod, but here we are.
And Betsy, any last thoughts on your end?
My last thought is that this microphone is very heavy.
Yes.
And I feel like I am getting a really good bicep workout right now. So
Right.
thank you for that, Steve.
It's like carrying a baby.
Yeah. I haven't carried a baby in a couple of years, so it's a good
Anything we can
refresher.
do, to keep you young, Betsy. We're here for it. All right, guys. Well, this is Mark Waller and Betsy Morem, and we'll be right back. And we're back with Carol Moss from Hellmuth and Johnston. Carol like Christmas, Moss like Randy. Carol, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great. Thank you for having me on the show. I am the head of our cannabis industry practice group over at Hellmuth and Johnston. We're in Edina. Been in this field for a few years. You and I just reminiscing. Well, we met what was it, 21?
Yeah, I think it was 21.
and how much the industry has changed, how much we've changed.
Right.
You're now a father.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm almost an empty nester, so yeah, it's great. Thank you for having me.
No doubt, yeah. So when we talk about 2021 in Minnesota, we're looking back at a lot of CBD flower brands, some Delta 8 gummy brands, for example, THCP, Delta 10. These products that were not inherently bad, but there were issues with the sourcing and the production and the how they were made.
Correct.
And so it's in our time of knowing each other, Minnesota has tightened up a lot of the rules around what products are available, how they're made, and talk a little bit about what you've seen in the market and how your career has evolved into focusing primarily on cannabis.
Yeah. So how the industry has changed is just amazing. How much this industry just moves so fast. When we first met in 2021, that wasn't very long after the Farm Bill had come out, and that had carved out hemp and hemp derivatives, aka hemp products.
Yeah.
And that was based on the amount of Delta 9 THC. So if you weren't in the industry, you didn't understand that there were different types of THC in the plant.
Right.
And this definition only limited the amount of the Delta 9 THC.
Right.
So when we met, it was shortly after the Farm Bill had come out and then Minnesota came out with their own program. People figured out this industry is so clever and so creative,
right,
and so smart. And so people figured out a way that if they use the different types of THC and just limited the Delta 9, that they could go around it. Some people call it loophole. I just say you're just going around the law.
And the difference in Minnesota versus other states, for example, not all states, but some other states, is we are a total THC state, and that came into effect after we met, is what we're saying.
Yeah, so when we started out, it was just the Delta 9 THC, and then that's when we saw the rise of the Delta 8, Delta 10 vapes and edibles and things like that. The difficulty with what was going on was, yes, it was legal, but it wasn't being regulated. It wasn't being tested. You don't know who's selling it, where it was manufactured.
Right.
And this was a very big problem for schools, for legislators. The state was very concerned about this.
Yeah.
And so that's when we started talking about moving away from the Delta 9 THC to limiting total THC.
Right.
And that became the spark on what became the catalyst of us having our hemp-derived industry.
Yeah. So I would think 2022, that legislative session was when they clamped down on the altnoids, as their industry terminology is.
Yeah. So that was the year where we went from a Delta 9 to all THC limitation. But the other issue that we were facing at the time was CBD edibles were very popular, CBD tinctures. And the state was regulating who and where these products could be manufactured and made. The problem was the state only had jurisdiction over Minnesota businesses. So what we were seeing was a very unfair regulation of the industry where Minnesotans were put at a higher standard. They were being regulated. They were being told to stop. But yet our
friends in Wisconsin
and people it was just coming into the state. And so that was a very significant problem. And so that's when we started to see the major change in 2022 where we switched from THC, and then that's where the edibles, the low-dose edibles came about.
Yeah.
People talk about it sneaking it in. It was not snuck in.
It was not snuck in.
It was not. I mean, it might have gotten past a goalie or two.
Right. Right.
But it was not snuck in.
It was under the guise of helping support local small businesses.
And making a fair, more regulated field, because that's when testing first started coming about. That was the first time people had to test these products, which is very important for consumers. Right. And so we had these low-dose edibles, and that's what sparked these hemp-derived products that we see today, the beverages and the edibles. Mm-hmm. And a lot of Minnesotans don't understand that Minnesota was the first state to actually regulate and allow these products.
Okay.
And it has sparked a wave across the country.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming to Minnesota and was being like, what? You're doing what? And the great thing is people like these low-dose hemp. They like these beverages.
They love them.
They love them. And even more importantly, the sky didn't fall.
No. There was a time when we were worried, and
Mm-hmm.
actually, I tell this story often, but since you're sitting here,
Yeah.
we were at the Trail Magic Tap Room, the fall winter of 22.
Yep.
So we're 5-6 months into this new standard, and I remember our friends were there,
Yeah.
and it was like from 6 to 10, and the evening didn't get louder as the night went on.
It got
A little quieter.
And we got to the point where we were just staring at each other, and I was like, oh, I got to go home.
Sure. And I think for those that were there that night, or for those
Yeah.
that experienced things similarly, and the folks that were there have done a lot in the space since.
Yeah.
But we proved in that one night, or Trail Magic and the group involved proved that the sky wasn't going to fall.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I'm like, my mom will not go into a dispensary, but she will eat an edible. She will have a drink. She
Yeah.
will use these as alcohol replacements.
It comes in the same size as your Diet Coke can.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and people love them.
Yeah.
People love them, and
Do you have a favorite
well, I do love
from a flavor standpoint, or?
I do love Moonlight's their moonshot.
I do love Moonlight's Moonshot.
I actually use them before I go weightlifting.
Okay. Yes, that's right. The CBG.
It's so awesome when you go when you work out. I tried THCV, but I found that CBG is.
Okay.
So I like that. I love No Coast. I love Balance.
Yeah.
All sorts of great products that Minnesota has put out, and we have become a leader in the industry
No
across
doubt.
the country.
No doubt.
And it's been awesome.
And so let's dig in a little bit deeper. You started as a paralegal in your profession.
Yep.
How has your career evolved? What steps did you take to get to where you've gotten? Like, when you
Yeah.
look back, what were some of those smart moves that you made?
So I started my career as a paralegal, always wanting to be a lawyer. Went to law school, always knew that I wanted to be in the courtroom, always wanted to be in trial, always wanted to be in the deposition. So I'm a litigator, like I fight.
Okay.
That is my that is my undertone and everything. So I was, joined Hellmuth and Johnston right out of law school. I've been there for 16 years.
Okay.
Did litigation for about over 10 years and realized I was going to burn out.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's very adversarial. It's very contentious. Just started to kind of think about cannabis and really the legal gymnastics you have to do in order to practice in this area. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Did you see the lottery last year?
Welcome to drug policy in America.
Yeah. A lot of gymnastics being done.
Yeah, so I started to get kind of interested in it. Met some women who happened to be Laylee and Laura
Sure.
from Blunt Strategies.
Yeah.
But then the pandemic happened and the quarantine, and it was actually a very huge opportunity for me because everybody did webinars.
Right.
Everybody went online.
Right.
I just did whatever I could to learn about the industry.
Okay.
I watched webinars on how to train bud tenders.
Ah.
I watched, I talked to people. I read things about commercial leases for cannabis. Like, it was a great opportunity.
Wow. I never knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so then I just happened to be really good timing.
Yeah.
And got involved, met a lot of people in the local community.
Right. We were hanging out with Steph, Veronica,
Yeah.
Sean. There were a lot of folks that at
At the
the
very
Stadium
beginning,
Bar and Grill. I mean,
Beecher and Anthony. And
yeah.
and then
You got to look a little harder to find Beecher. He's not always going to be at the Stadium Bar and Grill.
No, Beecher and Alice. But then, I woke up the day after the November 22 election.
Okay.
And saw the news that the DFL got a trifecta.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, we're on.
Right.
If
At
this
that
is
point,
it.
it was green lit.
Yeah. So
It would have come sooner had the pandemic not happened. There was a chance it would have
Yeah.
passed 2 years prior.
Yeah.
In some ways, we'll never know.
We'll never know, but I just remember waking up that day and being like, it's go time.
Cool.
And-
Cool. And you've
Yeah.
been politically motivated for a long time.
Yeah.
You've taught your kids to believe in what they believe in.
Yes.
And cannabis is one of those things that the wrongs need to be righted.
Oh, absolutely. So, things like cannabis, fixing the war on drugs, talking about, what our children, you have a young daughter.
Yeah.
My values and morals aren't based on who I vote for. Who I vote for is based on my morals and my values.
Sure.
I have 2 LGBTQ kids.
Yeah.
I rally for them. I make sure that they know who's on their side and who's not on their side.
Sure.
I make sure that they know that who they vote for is going to have a bigger effect than whether or not they get that plastic straw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need to hold people accountable. We need to get people in the position of power.
Right.
So, and we just absolutely just kind of dovetails into all of that mentality and morals and values.
Yeah, I think cannabis can be bipartisan. However, generally speaking, it has leaned more to the left.
Yes.
What did you think of the Cowboy Carter album?
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking this. Okay, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it right from the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, that second half makes me want to, I cannot listen to The Protector because I cry. And if you're a new dad, don't listen to that, you'll cry.
Okay.
But the second half, I loved it.
Yeah.
Beyonce finally got Album of the Year. She was been robbed. Lemonade is, I think, the best album that's been put out in 50 years. She was robbed of that.
Yeah, she was. I like the self-titled one, that one.
Yes.
The fact that it dropped out of nowhere and there was a video for every single song.
That's the way. So as a lawyer, I'm always like, how does Beyonce do this?
With the secrecy behind
How
it?
does she get people to not, like how? I would not be able to do that. And I think to myself, man, she must have some great non-disclosure agreements.
Right. Well, real G's move in silence like lasagna. That's a Lil Wayne bar.
But I finally got my Cowboy Carter tickets.
Yeah. Oh, to Chicago?
Yeah, we're going to, Stephanie and I are going to.
Stephanie and you are going, as you should.
We went to Renaissance together. We spent big money for big
You did?
pictures.
You were on the floor, right?
She was 15 feet from me.
I was further up.
My husband, I told him we were going to Cowboy Carter, and he's like, wasn't this a bucket list, that Renaissance? And I'm like, every album is a bucket list.
Triple Crown. What's your husband's name?
Greg.
Triple Crown, Greg. No, that's amazing. I know you're a huge Beyonce fan, and it was cool to see her win the album of the year. I mean, I think she had the best video of all time, a while ago, but I'm glad to see she's getting her recognition.
She is a performer's performer. You could see about how everybody in the industry was proud and happy.
And Blue was at the show.
Blue is like a manager. She's like, Mom, like when Beyonce won country album of the year, and Beyonce was like stunned, and Blue was like, no, get up.
Yeah. Does your daughter take on some Blue Ivy energy as you're a big Beyonce fan?
They are not as big as Beyonce, but it's so funny because I graduated in 95, so I grew up in the 90s. I grew up in grunge.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I hear my daughter like debating with her friend, The Smiths versus The Cure.
Oh.
And I'm like,
how fun is that?
I'm like, that is so odd, because I was a huge Cure fan. But then I hear her say, my mom has a vintage Cure t-shirt from when she went to concert.
Is it true?
Yes, it's from 1995.
Hell yeah. I've still got my 06 Chili Peppers bootleg concert tour t-shirt from outside the XL Energy.
Isn't that awesome?
So eventually I'll be able to pass that
I
down.
have one whole drawer in my dresser is all concert t-shirts.
Wow.
I'm back from when Van Halen t-shirt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That one I stole from my sisters.
I'd love to have you back on for a full episode.
Yeah.
But for folks that want to get in touch, what can you offer them right now? Where should they go to check out more information?
Yeah, so you can Google my name. You can find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great area for cannabis because it doesn't get you banned, and I met tons of people.
Yeah.
We are working with people in all sorts of different phases. I don't write license. That wasn't my forte.
Right.
I support people and help them through that process, but we do all sorts of stuff. We're a full-service law firm. Cannabis businesses are businesses with pizzazz.
Yes.
And so corporate, commercial,
The munis, the leases, these things are complicated.
I would say the biggest thing that's going to come down and be really difficult for people is zoning.
Yes.
Zoning is, and that is what we've been working on, is zoning, commercial leases, finding all sorts, but compliance, and like, we are here to help you grow. My goal is to make you succeed.
Hell yeah.
My goal, I understand legal fees suck, lawyers suck, but trust me, you want me preventing problems rather than trying to dig you out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I can be found anywhere, and we have a booth here at Lucky Leaf.
Yeah, shout out to Lucky Leaf. That's Carol like Christmas, Moss like Randy. Check her out on LinkedIn. She's a great personality, as you can tell, and she'd love to help you out.
And talk to me about Beyonce, please.
Yes. Say you found her on the Northern Lights podcast. All right, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Ready to kick off your home grow? We've got the perfect hookup for you. MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. They've got everything from fast flowering strains to unique hybrids, all ready for growing in Minnesota. And guess what? Our listeners get an exclusive deal. Use the code NL10 for a 10% discount on your entire order. Don't miss out and get started with the best seeds. Start your growth strong with MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Remember, NL10 for 10% off at MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Grab your seeds today. We're back. We're back in the studio with Casey of Natural Harvest. How's it going, man?
Hey, Tanner.
Happy to have you here. It is another month, March now. We got another seed box that we're going to be talking about. Tell us, what do we have coming in the box this month?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. This month, we're doing Sour Gorilla.
Okay.
Another one of those kind of diesel sour flavors that, for me, it's kind of a personal favorite.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've really been enjoying anything that has that word sour in the family recently. Tell us a little bit more about what people can expect with that Sour Gorilla.
Sure.
I mean, what does that taste like? What can they expect to get?
Yeah, so like I said, that sour kind of diesel-y flavor. And then it's a sativa leaning. So, a lot of people kind of want that more uplifting, not so
For
heavy
sure.
feel, go about your day rather than just, lock you into the couch.
Very cool. So also we could probably expect this to maybe be a little bit of a larger plant in how it grows, less of that short and squatty and more of sort of the reaching towards the light. A great one for March.
Absolutely, yeah. A good mix of both where, you can still do something in your tent. It's not necessarily like a monster 25-foot plant outdoors, but
Totally. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's a really cool one. That gorilla lineage, I think, is a fun one to touch on and one that we've talked about on the show a little bit in the past. Gorilla Glue, like that's a classic cultivar. I imagine you've had experience with that before?
I have. I haven't grown it, but definitely, sampled it over the years and definitely
For sure.
one of my favorites.
Do you get similar sort of the notes of that, but now just like twisted and sour and a little bit more fermented, or you tell like what can people expect from that?
I'd say that's a pretty accurate description.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
I love that. Very cool. So for people who maybe this is their first episode listening in, they heard the description of that seed, they went, oh my God, that is one that I need to try. Where would you send people to go and get the seed?
Sure. MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com.
Okay. And maybe, it's March. We're starting to get a little bit closer to when that outdoor season really begins. You could be taking these seeds, starting them indoor today, and by the time outdoors is ready for us, your plants will be ready to thrive.
Well on your way for June, right? For a planting season. So,
Yeah.
Now's the time.
Very cool. Sour Gorilla. I'm excited to give that one a try. That'll be a fun one.
Awesome.
And then for those people that go to your website, they're looking to buy a couple other seeds along with that. I heard there's a rumor there's a discount code for people that are listeners to this podcast. Is that true?
Yeah. Anybody who watches this podcast, NL10, and you get 10% off your order.
Sweet. So NL10. Go to the website, MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Fill up your cart. Choose what you want to grow, indoors or maybe soon outdoors. NL10. Get a discount on all of that. MinnesotaCannabisSeeds.com. Awesome. Thanks for coming, Casey.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And we're back live from Lucky Leaf, February 28th. I'm here today with Allie Mann, co-founder of Moonlight Cannabis. Allie, how are you?
Doing good.
Thanks for being here.
Of course, I'm excited about it.
Hell yeah, Lucky Leaf 2025. It's a little bit of a different feel this time around, but we're psyched to be doing the media, doing the event tonight. Tell us a little bit about how you founded Moonlight Cannabis and kind of like, it's not your first job, so like tell us a little bit about burnout, a little bit about like, man, I wish I could just do my own thing. Like, how did you decide to start a brand?
Right, burnout. What's that? So I've always kind of been entrepreneurial. I didn't realize this about myself until I kept like getting fired because my personality was too big.
Yes.
But I decided to just do like marketing, consulting, and freelance and help people with basically anything that centers around writing.
Yeah.
As like my 9 to 5 for the past 6-ish years.
Okay.
But the cannabis side of things, I've been a user like off and on since high school.
Sure.
And my co-founder, my husband Carter, and I, after college, we moved to Denver for 10 years.
Okay.
And we lived there when rec went legal.
Oh yeah.
So we became very accustomed to like
Cannabis.
stopping at the dispensary
Right.
and like picking up what we needed for the weekend. And after we went to the gas station, right, or whatever.
Sure.
But
Going to the store.
yes. And then we got married and had babies and came back to Minnesota.
What year did you get married?
By our families. 2013.
Oh my gosh.
So it's
You guys are over a decade in, huh?
Oh, we've been together for 20 years.
Wow.
It's
High school
insane.
sweethearts?
Yeah.
College?
College.
Okay.
College sweethearts.
Hey,
So
that's cool. That's how my brother and his wife are.
It's crazy to think how long it's been. It's insane.
Where'd you go to school?
University of Minnesota.
Yeah, you're
right
Golden
here in
Gophers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right on.
Love it. Love
Great
it.
basketball program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
great journalism program. Did you go there too?
No, I was nearby. I went to St. Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm just joshing you a little
Yeah,
bit.
I loved it there.
No, it's
I
good.
loved college.
Yes, I wish I loved college too much.
Same. Definitely like use some cannabis there for sure too.
So Denver.
Yep.
And did you enjoy living in Colorado?
Oh, we loved it.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have come back if our family wasn't all here.
Yeah.
Because it's just such, we met we were there in our 20s, right? So we had the time of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
We made wonderful friends.
Nice.
We were able to buy a home and start our life there.
Oh,
and
cool.
it's just really like the weather is
Yeah. You can
a
golf
lot better.
and go skiing in the same day.
Literally,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
yes.
awesome.
We loved it. But, we're family people.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
we have 2 boys.
Okay.
They're 9 and 7, and we wanted them to be by,
Yeah, mom and dad,
grandparents,
grandma,
aunts, uncles, the whole thing. So,
Jumping ahead a little bit, like, how do you think your kids will learn about cannabis compared to how we learned about cannabis through the DARE program? And do you think there's an opportunity for the next generations to realize that it's not as scary as we were led to believe?
yes. And to be honest with you, I'm former DARE president.
Jeez.
I promised I would never do drugs and be a famous basketball player one day. So,
Sure.
those dreams haven't really panned out.
Both of them?
Neither.
Okay.
But that said, yes, we were taught it's very bad. You do it,
Right.
when you're at a party. But with our kids, honestly, they already know, right?
Okay.
They kind of already know.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just that kind of person. Carter and I both very open. I've made sure they know all about the women's reproductive system and
Sure.
PMS,
Sure.
and cannabis, right?
Sure.
I want them to know that because it's the same as if they see me drink a glass of wine,
Yeah,
right?
it's not
like
for
I'm
them.
lighting up in front of them, but they know we do a business that has stuff that helps people feel better, but it's for grown-ups, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
we're open about it. I don't think they would recognize the word cannabis,
Yeah.
but I do believe as the years go on and it becomes more legal and we're able to research it and use it for medicine and healing,
Right.
hopefully they start educating about it.
Yeah.
Even
kids
younger.
have endocannabinoid systems too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's opportunity, and I do believe it will go that way. If we can help it.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So fast forward, you came back to Minnesota. When
Yep.
did you start to get the idea for Moonlight?
So the idea started percolating maybe 4 or 5-ish years ago. We've been back now for 9.
Okay.
So halfway through our time home, and mainly because cannabis wasn't legal when
Yeah.
we moved back. So it was getting it was not as easy as it was
In Colorado.
or legal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Of course. So we, like everyone else, started seeing the hemp products and the D9 products around, and it came at the same time where my 3-year-old son, who's now 6, Fletcher, was diagnosed with autism.
Oh.
And it was a really hard time for me. I went through a lot of ups and downs with like depression and mental health, and like he at 3 was a lot to deal with, and it was stressful. So I needed something to like help me through it without making me like incapable of parenting. Right. And Delta 8, like the hemp derived lower dose stuff, really did that for me.
Okay.
But I wanted the experience to be more approachable, because at the time you had to go to like a tobacco store, and I like, what's Pineapple Kush Doggy gonna make me feel? You know what I mean? I wanted it to feel more like a high, like not just for women, but we do kind of tailor to that stressed parent, like wanting something to help take the edge off, allow you to still do your life, your job, your role, whatever you have to do with functional cannabis. That's our whole mission, right?
Functional cannabis.
Functional cannabis.
Right.
Every product we make is never going to just have THC. It's going to have THC and some other cannabinoid that's going to do something good for your body. And dosage education, right? So like you're shopping by what you need, like relief-wise, with a company who wants to educate you, right? And like make sure you understand and know what you're getting into.
Like a needs-based is really where that's where the market is going, because folks, we were talking about it yesterday on one of the panels, is like they're already shopping for adjacent products at the co-ops, at the Whole Foods, at these stores that offer better sleep or pain relief. But like cannabis can do all of those things, so it's smart as a brand to really offer ailment-based, solutions.
Absolutely. And like the idea that, we're learning more about alcohol and like the foods and the things we consume, right? And like as a parent, it's scary to like figure out the truths, right? So if we can also act as like a replacement for alcohol, right? Or like maybe something else that isn't great for you, but you still want to relax or like take the edge off. But
plant-based.
Natural, from the earth.
So I'd heard about the products before I tried them, and I know some of the products that you initially started with are no longer available on the marketplace. But you came out with a product last year in the fall. I tried it at Legacy Cup. It was this really sweet-tasting, energizing moonshot.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about how you developed that product, and how successful and how happy are you with the overall results so far?
So Moonshot is our first beverage, right? We have just kind of been a gummy company up until now. So we were nervous about how exactly to get into it, right? And like what way to get into that beverage space, because Minnesota is so amazing and has like so many amazing hemp-derived beverages that it's almost like I don't want to get lost in the mix, right? And like there's already so many great options. What can we do that's different?
Yeah,
right?
I call it the Me Too brands. There's a lot of Me Too brands out there.
Yes, and they're great, right? They're great. So, but I just wanted to do something different, right? So we were like, let's do a shooter. There's not a lot of those, maybe not everybody wants to like crack open something that they have to finish in one sitting, or, they just want something little, or they wanted to have, we just wanted a different option, right? A different modality and beverage size, and we wanted it to be clean, no added sugar, no fake flavors, nothing like that. I want it to taste amazing. It's wild cherry flavor. It is amazing because I like that flavor, so that's what we picked. But like you can the best thing about it is it's glass. It's good for the earth. You can put it back in the fridge, put the lid back on.
Just take a sip.
Yeah, take a sip. I pour it into like a sugar-free like ginger ale at night or whatever. You make little cocktails with it.
Right.
It kind of has a lot of legs, which we also like. So, and I'll tell you, we are, we're hustling, trying to get it into all the place that already sells our gummies are obviously open to it and it's selling and they're pushing it. But we're trying to like get into that like liquor store world now, right? And like make sure we're where those other hemp beverages are, right? So that's kind of our current approach. But it's not always easy.
Right. Well, if you're a retailer or a liquor store looking to get a high energy compliant beverage on the shelf, definitely reach out to Allie and Carter from Moonlight. I love the product. We've tried it on the podcast. We've played around with the Moonshot quite a bit. And what do you see next coming? Are you going to stay in the hemp space, or do you think you'll cross over into the adult use market? Where are your thoughts are thus far?
We definitely will stay in the hemp space. But we are also going to add cannabis products, right? So our whole approach is like, this hemp market is so vast, and the opportunities, right, to like reach customers in other parts of the country,
Yes.
and like have an e-commerce business.
Yeah.
That's what our brand is all about, right?
Right.
The easy education, accessibility. So we're going to stay in that market, right, and continue to grow those products.
Okay.
But we want our brand to have a presence in the local Minnesota dispensaries too, right?
Sure.
And our, as we lovingly call them, our Moonies, right, and our
Yeah, the
customers,
Moonies.
they're going to want to see us at a dispensary, so we want to have products there. So
And you have a product. You have products in Island Pagey, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I saw your brand there a couple weeks ago.
They're a great partner, one of our best. So
Yeah.
we love being there. But yeah, we want to add cannabis products too. That'll be the dispensaries, right? So it'll kind of be almost our cannabis license,
Okay.
if and when we get it.
Yeah.
Will be supplemental to the overall kind of hemp-derived business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a great email newsletter, great social media. Where can folks find you online?
So we have a website, just straight up moonlightmn.com,
Okay.
and we're on the socials. You can find us on TikTok and on Instagram at Moonlight Canna.
Okay.
You'll know it's us because our profile pic is a little pink moon.
Nice.
But yeah,
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
of course.
Looking forward to trying out what's next, and hope to see you again soon.
I hope to see you soon too.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Northern Lights podcast live at Lucky Leaf. I'm here with Laura Hand from Laura Lou Experience Design, fractional CMO. Thanks for being here, Laura.
Thanks, Steve. It's so great to see you again.
Yes, good to see you. Traveling in from Iowa.
Yeah.
You've been here for a couple days, though.
Yeah, but I love Minnesota.
Yes.
This has been my cannabis home. So
Friendly cannabis market here in Minnesota. We met sometime in the pandemic.
Yes,
I think through Clubhouse.
absolutely through Clubhouse.
Absolutely through Clubhouse.
The lonely girl from Iowa that was chiming in and being like, "Oh, there's my people."
Yeah, I was organizing Midwest Cannabis Club. I don't even remember what we called it, but it was an extension of Canna.mn and
Yep.
the work that we were doing back then. And during the pandemic, there weren't in-person events, so Clubhouse was the way that we were sharing information, updates. There was a lot still happening. We were still trying to figure out the Delta 8, the CBD, the CBG.
Well, honestly, just like who was in the space.
And who was
I think
in
it
the
was
space.
the very first time that I realized there were a bunch of people in the space. And not even in Minnesota, like just across all the United States and globally,
Sure.
was the very first time that there was that
Yeah.
just like community being formed.
And the cannabis industry really popped on Clubhouse for a short run there,
Yeah.
where it was like everybody who was in cannabis, you could find them on Clubhouse. And
I had to open like all day because I was afraid I was going to miss something.
hyper networking was
Yeah.
taking place
Oh, it was great.
all through the pandemic. I definitely, one person that comes to mind, and I've never shared this story out loud. It's not that good of a story, but you were telling me once, you're like, you got to meet this guy. You got to invite this guy, Jeremy Johnson. And, 4 years later, Jeremy Johnson is like one of the leading marketing minds in cannabis. And
I'm so glad that he's kind of keeps on like transitioning to different roles too, so you can bring that expertise
Yeah.
and kind of like learn and teach others. So
he's with
always
Quality
been great.
Roots now, and out of Michigan. He also has the UP campground that he's building up.
Watching it, yeah.
He's building in real time and sharing that story along the way. But you had invited Jeremy to one of our Clubhouse meetups, and he stuck around for a little bit. But the Michigan market is just so much more advanced from a adult use standpoint than the Minnesota market, and so I just wanted to give you your flowers there for trying to connect me with Jeremy, and I have called on Jeremy a few times in the last few months, fighting to grow and understanding how to navigate as the industry becomes more and more actualized. Jeremy's a great contact, but beyond that, you and I actually did some work together.
We did.
I was working through hemp goods distribution and OG hemp goods, and I was developing a clothing brand, and actually, it ties in with Angela Knox, who's here as well, and we were in a cohort. I met you, and then eventually I met Angela through the CPG and entrepreneur community in Minnesota, and man, it's like, it's never a straight path.
No.
But talk through the customer journey and how you help brands understand how they can serve their customers better.
Yeah, so I'm a complete nerd on customer journey mapping and understand like who you're trying to serve, because I think we get very passionate about the service or the product that we have, and that it can help so many people, and so we get almost in our own way of trying to shout at people how great we are instead of kind of remembering who we're trying to serve.
Yes.
Which is why we got into this space in the first place.
Right.
So I am like the one that's always knocking on the door of, you have to know the needs, challenges, and the desires of the people that you serve so that you can, do all of your messaging to cater to them and be where they're at.
Yeah. You like to ask the hard questions in marketing?
Yeah, the homework that people don't want to, it's not the super sexy, but it sets you up for the longer term success that you're ultimately wanting as a business.
Yeah, there's a guy here right over there, Darton Weaver, and you guys need to meet after this interview because Darton is notorious with just like digging in. But what's your why? But what's your
why? Why?
And the good marketers can answer that question. And if you're in it for the long run, you have to know the answers to those questions because otherwise you won't know who to serve.
Yeah. And I think that's not the rub, but like the opportunity of cannabis is that in a traditional product, you've got kind of one market set and one need that you are solving, whereas cannabis can be so diverse, and it's not necessarily a problem. It's helping with sports and athletics to creativity, and so there are so many different paths to be able to use this plant, but you still have to narrow your focus to start with one,
right,
and then grow from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, switching gears a little bit, I've known this about you since really early on. You've always been passionate about hospitality and tourism. Talk a little bit about what growth you've seen in that area and how you're continuing to evolve that space.
Yeah, and so a lot of people ask the why behind that, and I think wellness tourism in the cannabis and plant wellness space is such a great way to steward and kind of walk people into what plant medicine could be for them, because sometimes they're not actively seeking the plant. But if they are at a wellness resort or doing a wellness retreat, they're more open to being mindfulness and just looking internally and looking for options such as plant medicine.
Sure.
So and they know they're going to be in a safe environment. They know that they're going to be kind of shepherded through the process and come out better on the other side. And so I think everybody understands travel and tourism and hospitality and that it is a safe space and they know they're going to be cared for. So I think it's just a great way for people to introduce plant medicine. And then on the second side of that is, as Minnesota grows and we've got consumption lounges, event spaces, they're not seeing themselves as hospitality. And I think that is a gap. Because if they see themselves as hospitality and start treating people as tourists and locals, it's going to open up what they have to do for serving. And it can't just be a cinder block room where you consume. Like there has to be
an underground basement. Yeah. Well, you've gone out into the world and experienced cannabis hospitality. Tell us a little bit about your last vacation that you took.
Yeah, I went to Thailand for about 17 days for a best friend's Indian wedding.
Wow.
And then I went down to the beach, Samui, in Koh Samui Island, Thailand.
In Thailand.
And it was magical. I mean, so as a cannabis wellness resort, they have an on-site dispensary. They have an herbalist there that in the intake sits you down and kind of asks what your level of knowledge is around the plant, what your expectations and intentions are, and then they curate the entire week or stay around that. So I did things like, it was with Canna Cannabis.
Okay.
So we did infused yoga and elephant sanctuary. And so like in the morning, it was just awesome.
Oh, wow.
And then each suite has a bathtub on the balcony overlooking the ocean. So I did like an herbal milk bath that was infused. I did, the first time I did ice bath. So it was a meditation and breath work with cannabis, and then did an ice bath in that same bathtub. Infused massage, they had cooking classes, they had a sleep tonic elixir workshop at night, sound healing. It was amazing.
Was it all very small group?
Yeah, there's only 12 suites at the resort. So they're all about sustainability, bringing in local professionals, and just because you want to get to know the area. Like, I don't travel just to get to go to a resort and stay in the resort. I want to know about the people. And so it was great to know the staff and kind of they're in Muay Thai fighting and just get to know them from a personal base.
Right on. Coming back from Thailand, where do you see the future of cannabis tourism in the Midwest?
So there's some great groups like Lifted Lodging.
Okay.
So it's a women-based group that are buying up boutique properties or hotels and converting them into cannabis-friendly stays.
Oh, cool.
And so in the Midwest, we've already got maybe a possibility down in Missouri, and they're looking at Minnesota properties.
Yeah.
And so being able to have that type of space to bring in tourists and as well as locals can be great.
Sure.
And then of course we've got the event space.
Yep.
Just cannabis weddings, like Rachel Gordy
Yeah,
just had her cannabis
yeah.
wedding. So I think where we're at from the Cannabis Travel Association perspective, which I'm a board member of,
Oh,
with
that's right.
Mark Waller.
For a number of years now.
Yeah. So from that perspective, what we're seeing is just we're at the inspiration stage where there's so many people in the Midwest that have never heard of any of these things like a cannabis wedding. And I love seeing the light bulb go off just like, what? There's cannabis resorts? And so I think all they have to do is keep on saying that this exists.
Right.
And people are going to internalize it, and that seed's been planted and some great things are going to come about.
Yeah, what I love about the Minnesota market is how we can make the close parallels to alcohol and how we can really leverage alcohol's acceptance and try to push forward with cannabis, because you'd never say you're at an alcohol wedding,
Yeah.
but there's alcohol at every wedding.
Yeah.
And
Very
then
good.
for Kurt and Rochelle's wedding, which I was there, at Molly's Farm, like that stood out. It made the magazine. It's nominated for awards in this, and so it does take boundary pushers like Rochelle and people in the industry to really fight for their passions to be seen.
Yep.
And then as it becomes normalized through low dose and through really medicinal reasons and, tribal dispensaries and all the access points that we have in Minnesota and all the good things happening in Minnesota, we'll continue to see cannabis reach more of a level of acceptance as alcohol has. Now, it'll never be fully there, I don't think, because of the prohibition. However, we are fighting to get more acceptance. And it's conferences like this at Lucky Leaf where, there is no cannabis being sold, there is no cannabis on display. However, we're all here to rally around the plant and bring more awareness to cannabis as an industry.
Yeah, take the next step, and it takes people like you. I mean, you've just been forging the way forever, so it's been great. It takes a lot of grit, a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And I know that there's still moments that we kind of look around and be like, "Are you still? Oh, you're still here. Great! Like, whew, let's keep doing this."
Still doing it.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, it's been great to see you here.
So great.
If folks want to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about the marketing that you provide, where can they reach out?
Yeah, so again, Laura Hand of Laura Lou Experience Design. Website is customerdelightprocess.com. On all the socials as Laura Lou Experience Design.
Yes.
And I think you should check out the Cannabis Travel Association International.
Cannabis Travel Association International. Awesome. Yeah, and you can find all that online, and we'll make sure to include the links in the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too.
We'll be right back.
All right, well, we are here at the Lucky Leaf Expo with my buddy Will.
Hello.
Will, so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Today we're playing a little bit of a game. Now, this is a game that we've played on the show before, but not with you, so I'm so excited to have you here. We made
I'm so
Steve
excited.
do it. We had Kat on earlier. We forced her to play this game, and now you're willingly playing this game, so this is great.
Yes.
This is called
I'm game.
Word Salad Strain Name. So we've got a bunch of words that we're going to give you.
Okay.
You're going to be able to put them in any order you want. It's going to make up a new strain name. And you're going to have to tell us, what do you think it tastes, smells, experiences like? Lemur breath, OG, feels like being woken up by a Zaboomafoo in the morning and getting breathed on just like a...
Yeah.
People need that.
I could
ASMR.
feel that, yeah.
So today we've got some fun categories. You're going to be getting one of each of these words. You're going to be getting a color.
Okay.
You're going to be getting something that's toxic or like not great for people.
Okay.
And you're also going to be getting a Girl Scout cookie because today's episode is actually brought to you by the Girl Scouts of America. So let's go ahead and jump in. Feel free to grab...
Is it?
It is, yeah. We can legally say that and not get sued because we're not sponsored by them.
Wow.
It's just we wouldn't be able to do this episode
Thanks, Girl
without
Scouts.
the Girl Scouts of America.
Wow.
So shout out to the Girl Scouts of America. So feel free to grab one card out of each of these envelopes, and then you're going to be able to shuffle them. Now, there are some good words in there that are related to like real strains, and then there are also just some other words.
I love you got a thesaurus out?
Yeah. It was a lot of stone thinking and saying, this could be an interesting smell. Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Maybe. All right, we've got the words picked.
I've got my
Your
3.
fate is sealed, as
Tis.
they say. Go ahead and flip those over
Okay,
and tell
okay.
us what words we've got here.
Today we have peanut butter sandwich or do-si-dos.
Yeah, because you could decide, depending on where you're at in the country, they're called different things. so.
Yeah. I prefer do-si-dos.
And so does
I do.
my wife, and so I'm glad that you went with that. I told her we do have to put both
I am
because
like your
people
wife.
might not know both, but
You're right.
we got it.
Chemical.
Yep, chemical. So we've got do-si-do, we've got chemical,
And glow in the dark.
glow in the dark. So you get to put those in any order that you want. And you got to tell us, I'm coming into your dispensary. You've got only one thing. It's in a jar. I say, what does it smell like? What? Tell me.
Okay.
What do you have for sale?
It's hard, isn't it?
It's a little hard.
Yeah, it's because there are some where there's really no good answers.
Yeah.
There's just like the least bad. Yeah. There are some combos that I was looking at and I was like, man, I hope those don't line up. And so far, okay.
I will say.
I love
think-
this like shuffling
I
of
really,
the words,
it's,
getting them in
it's,
every
it
order.
it's like which one speaks to me is kind
Yeah.
of what I'm going for. I think I like this.
All right. So we got glow in the dark chemical do-si-do.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I've never heard of this strain before, but I want it. What is it like?
So, imagine you're in the darkest room possible.
Okay.
No light is entering this space.
I see nothing.
In there is a glow in the dark person do-si-doing in front of you.
Holy sheesh.
That's where it brings you.
Okay. All right. So we've got a
You're
person
brought into it. You're
literally
brought.
do-si-doing.
Yes, you are brought into this space, and you just see them in the center of it,
Wow.
and they're just spinning, and that just brings you.
I want
brings you
that.
to a wonderful space.
See, that sounds like a place that I would want to hang out. I feel like that's I've heard people talk about headband, like gives you that like headband experience.
Yeah.
I want to feel like I'm in a dark room with a human glow in the dark do-si-doing in front of me. Like people describe like ego death, and people might be like, "Oh, no, nobody wants that."
No,
people do. And this one, a glow in the dark do-si-do dancer, people might be like, "Oh, nobody wants that." I do. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and honestly, the only reason we put chemical in there is that that's the smell it emits.
All right, yeah. So you're just like in this room. It smells like raw chemicals. You're like, people are glowing. I'm afraid, but
but
in a good way.
You feel like you're kind of honestly with the turtles.
Okay.
Down in the sewers.
Teenage Mutant Ninja.
You're a little
Perfect.
ectoplasmic.
Ectoplasmic. That sounds like. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I think this is the year of the ectoplasmic strain. Superbooth,
You're
gone.
right.
2025 is the year of just like, this looks dangerous, and I want it.
And I kind of like it.
Yeah. Wow, I like that. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Of course.
We're gonna let you get back.
I love doing this segment immediately after taking a dab.
Oh yeah,
it was
that's
absolutely great.
It is critical that people know that Tanner's Patient was recorded right before this, immediately, like 30 seconds. So if you look at that chart of like the 15-minute up ramp after doing a dab, we're at like minute 13 right here. So you're about to reach that peak, and I'm so glad that you rode that with us today.
Yeah, of course. I was happy to be here.
Awesome. We'll be right back at the Lucky Leaf Expo.
Yeah. See you guys.
Northern Lights is a Minnesota Cannabis College production. This episode was produced by me, Tanner Barris, and by Steve Eigenman and Jordan Witt. Production assistance from Marcus Harkis, Shayna Payton, and John Barty. Video and audio recording at the Dabbler Depot studio by Jordan Witt. The information provided in this podcast does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice, but is instead for general information purposes only. No listener should act solely on the basis of information provided without first seeking advice from their own legal counsel. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Minnesota Cannabis College. Please listen responsibly.